Hey guys, welcome and welcome back again to another tutorial on my channel. This is Style with Chika, and in this video you'll be learning how to make this beautiful shorts with an elastic waistband and a rope. It also has back pockets like you can see. So if this is something that you'd love to learn how to make, please keep on watching to the end of this video. Also, don't forget to leave a like if you find it very helpful. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already yet, so that you don't miss out on any of our amazing tutorials. And let's get started. So to make this style, I'm making use of 1 yard of my material that I can see here. I am not sure what the name of the material is. When I checked online, I saw names like French terry and cotton fleece. I am not a material expert. When I went to buy the material, I just told them that I wanted a jogger's material. And this was what they showed me. I liked it, so I bought it. So I just got 1 yard. Then I got this rope, which I'm using for the waist. I'm going to be drafting my pattern here because it helps me to maximize my fabric and know how I'll place my patterns. Okay, so if you're more or you're bigger than me, you can use more material. I have to buy like 1.5 yard, but then if you're my size or lesser, 1 yard is fine for you. So I'm going to draft because it helps us to save material. So on this line, I'm drawing my starting line. My waistband is 2 inches, so I'm going to be taking out 2 inches. I'll place 2 inches on this line. From here, I'll come down and mark out my hip line, and then I'll just mark out my crouch line. Now go ahead and extend this point like this. So next, I'm just going to mark out the length of this short, and then I'll be adding my stitching allowance. Okay, so this is my waist, hip, crouch, full length, and my allowance of 1.5 inches. So I'm going to come to my hip line, and then I'll take my hip measurements divided by 4. I'll mark that out, and then I'm just going to be adding an extra 1/2 inch to it. Then I'll just go ahead and connect all these points with a straight line like this. So basically you're using your hip measurements on your crouch and your waistline because this is not a fitted short. Okay, then on your crouch line, take your round thigh measurements divided by 2, mark that out. I'll just add 1/2 inch of allowance again, and then I'm just going to connect like this. So now because it's not very fitted going down, I can decide to use my round thigh measurements here, but what I'm just going to do now is just make this slanted a little bit like this. Okay, so this is basically what I have at this waist point here. I'm going to come down by 1/2 inch, and then I'll connect with a slanted line upward like this. So I decided to give your short a little bit of a curve, so I'm just going to come in by 1 inch at this waistline here, and then I'll connect like this. This is very much optional. Okay, if you're sewing for unisex for a man, you don't need to do this, but if you're sewing for a lady and you just want to have a little bit of a curve, you can just do this. Okay, this is very much optional, so I'm just going to go ahead and cut this out. So to cut out your back, you just want to take your pattern paper again and place your front on top of it. So I'm basically going to be tracing out what we have on our front like this. So what I'm just going to do, the difference I'm going to make is that on my waistline here, I'm going to come up by 1 inch. So let me explain this. This is because of your bum. So if you have a bigger bum, you can go up by as much as 1.5 to 2 inches. If you don't have a big bum or maybe nothing at all, you don't need to add any of this right here. You can just make it straight. Okay, I don't have a big bum, so I'm just adding about 1 inch. So now I'm just going to connect this 1 inch into my waistline like this. So now at this edge here, I'm going to extend this by 1.5 inches. This is going to be for the sewing allowance. Majority of the sewing allowance is at the back. So I'm going to extend all of this by 1.5 inch, just like this. So at the edge here, I'm leaving a little bit of allowance for ease. So now this is what I have. I just have 1/2 inch of allowance at the side. I'm going to use this now to cut out on my material. I'll cut out 2 for the front, 2 for the back. So now this is my front and this is my back. I've just gone ahead to sew along the crouch line here, and the next thing I'll be doing is to sew the front and the back together. So if you want pockets, you can go ahead and attach pockets to yours, but this was just 1 yard, so I do not have enough for pockets. So I'm just going to sew down on the sides. Thereafter, I'll sew down on this part and I'll hem in the legs. So now I'm gonna head to do just that. Join along the sides, along the base, and I hemmed in this part. This is what it looks like. So before I attach my waistband, I want this to have a pocket around here. So for your pocket, you just want to pick how deep, how wide you want it to be, and basically make a square mark along that part. So this is where my pocket is going to be. Just make sure that it's not too close to the center seam, and make sure that it's not so much to the side. If not, the pocket will be coming to the front side. So this is what I have. For reference, this is a measurement for my pocket. At this part, it's 5, 5, 5. So you can just make use of 5 inches. And you can also do this depending on your size. So I'm going to cut a piece of material that will fit into this part, and I will attach it. So now on this space, I'm going to be attaching this piece which I have just cut out. I cut it out a little bit longer than 5 inches for the length of this side, because I wanted to hem in the top part. Okay, so it's just a little bit so that I can be able to sew on top of it like this. So now I'm just going to go ahead and attach it all around this point. Alright guys, after fixing my pocket, this is what I had. I sprinkled a little water on it and I ironed it so that it will look very flat. So now what's left is my waistband. Okay, the waistband is a part where you have to pay so much attention on this trouser, on this short. So first, remember that I removed allowance from my waist to curve it in a bit. Okay, please note that that's because my material is stretchy and I knew it will still fall in shape. But if your material is not very stretchy, you do not need to do that. Okay, so that it won't be difficult for it to pass your hip. So I'm just going to hold these pieces together like this, and I'm going to measure from this end of the waist to this end of the waist. And what I have here is about 19 inches. So because this is folded in two, or this is in two, 1, 2, I'm going to take my tape like this and fold it in two. And at where 19 is, that's 38 inches. So which means that this strip of fabric now, I'm going to make sure that it's 38 inches plus 1. The 1 inch is for sewing allowance. So this is how you go about it. Make sure that the edge is smooth. Take your tape down to the measurement that you have. For me, I had 38 inches, but I said it's plus 1 inch, so that's 39 inches. I'll cut it at that point. So I already determined the length of my waistband, and that was dependent on my elastic band. Just make sure that it's enough to cover your elastic band plus allowance to add it to your trouser. I do hope you understand. This is a 1.5 inch elastic band. So the length of this is 5 inches. So now I'm just going to sew on this end to join this together. I'll sew on 1/2 inch. And after sewing on 1/2 inch, you want to just open it up like this. So next, I'm going to fold it in two, just like you can see me doing. So you want to fold it in two like this. And now what I'm going to do is that from this end here, just take like 1 inch away from the mid seam. I'm going to leave a notch, just for an indication for you guys to see. And then I'll come to this end about 1 inch away from the mid seam also. I'll leave another notch. So now what this means now is that from this notch here, I'm going to sew to join this together so that it can be like this. I'll sew, I'll hold the pieces together, and I'll sew to where I have my other notch. So I'll go ahead and do that so you guys can see what it looks like without getting confused. I'll sew around this. So this is the only space that I'll have open. So now I'm gonna have to sew on it. I did just that, and then I gave it a good press. So now you can see that the only hole is this one here, and this is the hole that we're passing our elastic into. Okay, so now you want to take your waist measurement and you want to cut this waistband to at least 3 inches less than your waist measurement so that it can grasp your waist. So my waist measurement is 31. I'll be cutting it by 3 inches less than my waist measurement, and that's 28 inches. What I have here is 29 inches, so I'll just cut this out right here. So when I put this into this space, it will be able to gather this, and it will also hold my waist very well. If you want it tighter, you can continue to reduce the elastic, but I don't want it to be too tight. Okay, so now I'm just going to pass this elastic into this hole using my pin. Alright, so now before I drag this very well, I'll just place this once on top like this, and I'll sew on it. And after sewing on it, I'll just drag it inside like this, and then I'll close up this space that is open. Alright, so right after that, this is what I have. So I'm going to take my shirt right now, and then I'm just going to be attaching this to the waist so that it can gather. So now after going ahead to attach it to the waist, this is what I have. This is what the inside looks like. I'll be weaving the inner, and now first thing I'm going to do is to stretch it out. I'll not be leaving this way, so I want to make those lines you can usually see on your trousers. So first off, after stretching it out, I'll then pin it out. Stretching it out is so that the material can be even along all the sides. So then I'll just pin this down just like this at different ends. So now what I'm going to do now is to make a first stitch. As I'm sewing, I'll be dragging it, okay, so that the elastic doesn't stay at one place. I'll be dragging it as I'm sewing it. I'll make a first stitch, and then I'll make a second stitch. All right, so I'm going to do that all around this waistline. All right, so now I'm just gonna head to do that. I've run stitches across this, so because you stretch when you sew, when you stretch this, it will not cut. You can make yours finer than mine. So I'm just going to use this now to pass my rope through this part, through the second part. But to do that now, you just want to cut this out a bit. So now I'll just pass this till it comes out through the other side. So now that I'm done attaching the rope, this is what I have. I do hope you found this tutorial very helpful. If you did, do not forget to leave a like. Subscribe to this channel so you do not miss out on any of our amazing and beginner-friendly sewing tutorials. Also, leave a comment. Tell me what you think about this in the comments, and I'll be seeing you in my next video. Bye, guys.